name's Daniel Díaz. I'm the founder and co-director of CiNEOLA, which I lead with my colleague Diana Sanchez, who's over here. And yeah, super excited. We've got a really impressive panel of some great local filmmakers. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed the cafe and conchas and chatting with each other. I know we've got a almost full room today, which is really awesome to see. BAMMS is the Bay Area Media Maker Summit. I was getting there, all in good time. So this is day 2 of the Bay Area Media Maker Summit. So I'm also one of the founding members of BAMMS. CiNEOLA is one of the founding organizations. Paula Smith-Aragoni over there, who's the executive director of BAVAC, which is another connection we share, is also one of the founding members of BAMMS. There was a series of events yesterday in Oakland that you all may have been to, hopefully. BAMMS is a project that we started probably, I want to say 4 years ago at this point. Really, I think at a time when we were looking for, more connection, more common ground spaces to come together as independent artists, filmmakers, media makers, and really kind of, digging into ways that we could be supporting each other and addressing, some of the challenges that come with building sustainable careers in the arts in the Bay Area with that very kind of local focus. That has spanned research projects, that has spanned a kind of annual summit. We've had screening series, and always trying to find, new ways to connect and to connect you all together as well. So thank you for coming. There's also going to be a Lamb and Rum Fest, which is kind of a traditional aspect of the annual BAMMS Summit. That's going to be in Golden Gate Park at I forget what it's called, Peacock something. You're all obviously invited to go over there, continue chatting, drink some rum, other drinks, I'm sure, lamb. I'm sure there's other stuff that isn't lamb too, hopefully. This event's also co-presented by BAVAC, so the Bay Area Video Coalition. So for those of you that aren't aware of us, we're a community media non-profit. We've been going for almost 50 years now. We'll be celebrating our 50th anniversary next year. Born out of activism in the video space. Offering training, advanced training across audio video production. We do a lot of work with youth, after school programs in high schools. We also have a video preservation department and artist development programs. We'll get in a little bit into the Media Maker Fellowship, which is kind of our flagship program for debut documentary features. We also have the public access station for San Francisco in the building here. So we have a live studio, and anyone is welcome to, speak into a camera, make a show, have a nice time. That was a much longer intro than I anticipated. So let's get to it so we actually have some time for our good panelists to chat. So this is being recorded, as you may notice. These 2 cameras are a bit of a giveaway, and the microphone as well. We'll be putting this out as a podcast on the CiNEOLA platforms, and it will also be going on the BAVAC and CiNEOLA YouTube channels too. Just a heads up about that. So I'm going to be giving an introduction to the panel just for clarity there. So we're here with this group of panelists to discuss their unique perspectives and experiences making documentaries in the Bay Area as Latinx artists, and how they approach telling stories as part of an intersectional Latin American diaspora. We'll start off by sharing some of their work samples, and there will also be an opportunity for audience questions after a conversation among the participants. So, first up, I'm going to invite Colette Ghunim. So, a little bit about Colette. Colette's sole purpose is to use the power of film and storytelling for those oppressed around the world to be seen, to be heard, and to heal. Her first documentary, The People's Girls, won Best Short Documentary at the Arab Film Festival. She is currently directing Traces of Home, her first feature-length film, documenting her inner quest to find home through unearthing her parents' forced migrations from Mexico and Palestine. Her work has been highlighted on international outlets such as Huffington Post, Al Jazeera, Univision, and TEDx. Thank you for being here today. All right, next up we've got Emily Cohen Ibañez. So Emily's films pair lyricism with social activism, advocating for environmental and labor justice. Her award-winning feature, Fruits of Labor, about a teenage farm worker, premiered at South by Southwest in 2021 and aired on PBS POV. She's currently completing her short documentary, River, about competitive river rafters in the Colombian Amazon, and writing her first screenplay, From Honey to Ashes, supported by SF Films' Raining Grant. Her third... Ooh. Emily!
Wow, I feel good right now. Thank you, Daniel. I should take you around everywhere.
Damn. Give the rest of us a chance. Her third feature documentary in progress, Orquídea, is about orchid protectors in Colombia. Thank you for being here, Emily. Then we have Luca Capponi. So Luca is an Italian-Ecuadorian filmmaker from a small village in the Bergamo province, Italy. Growing up in a bicultural environment, he developed an early curiosity about identity, migration, and the experiences of marginalized communities. He is a graduate of the Centro Sperimentale di Cinematografia, Italy's National School of Cinema. Luca is now based in Berkeley and currently working on Like Heaven Without God, a documentary that follows the lives of unhoused individuals living in an RV community. Thanks, Luca. And then finally we have Maya Cueva. We lost a chair at some point in the process. There you go. Okay. I was like, no, that's my one. Maya is a Latina award-winning director and producer from Berkeley, California. She was a Netflix non-fiction director and producer fellow and was also listed on Doc NYC's 40 Under 40 Filmmakers, co-presented by HBO Documentary Films. Her work has been featured on The New Yorker, NPR's All Things Considered, Latino USA, The Atlantic, Teen Vogue, and National Geographic. Her feature documentary On the Divide premiered in competition at Tribeca Film Festival in 2021, and Maya is currently working on her second documentary feature film, Rebel Without a Pause. Thank you, Maya, for coming. Okay, so to get started, we're going to share some work samples from each of the filmmakers and give you each an opportunity to, say a few words, kind of frame, introduce the work that we're going to be seeing.
Growing up here in the suburbs, everything's supposed to be so beautiful and peaceful. Why did I feel so much tension inside of me? I knew that I was Mexican and Palestinian, but my parents raised me to be this perfect American. The thing is, we're not perfect Americans.
Ya, no, es que te ves muy como viejito que estás sentado. We both came to the United States not because we came here for a better life, but because we were running away from something.
I born in Palestine, 1944. The Zionists came from everywhere in the world. They destroy homes, they kill people. We left Safad. It was like 12 hours walking, okay, and we never came back.
I was born in Mexico City. My father, he was an alcoholic. He would beat our mother. My mother woke us up about 5 in the morning, and she said to us, if your dad wakes up, tell him that you're going to school. We are moving to the United States. I have never been back to where we lived before.
I wanted to return with my parents to find my cultural roots. I didn't realize I'd have to actually face how their trauma affected me. Did you feel at home growing up?
Oh, oh man. I felt like something was missing.
How would you feel about going back now to find your home?
I have no idea.
I don't think so. I can't handle it. I'm going because of you, okay? That's it. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
يلا يا عمو لسه ما هلا بندخل احنا لساتنا على الطرف.
Vamos a buscar.
Don't forget your promise to your mom. No more crying.
There was like a part of me that just became very angry and sad.
They were hiding the pain, but even with them trying to hide it, you feel it.
My greatest disappointment, I feel that I failed you. You don't know how much it hurt me when you would say that you hated me.
They didn't have much of a childhood.
As a little kid, my mom often said, once you get the tortilla to puff up on the stove, you'll be ready to marry. My mom got a divorce. My mom said to me, nosotros tenemos los pantalones de la casa. Ella trabaja 7 días a la semana. Soy la única que puede cuidar a mis hermanos si algo llegara a pasarle a mi madre. Empecé a trabajar a los 15 años en la costa central de California, en donde nací.
If you work hard, you can get to your dreams. Dream big and work hard.
Le digo, yo no tengo papeles, pero tú, si tú sacas tu preparatoria, vas a poder agarrar un trabajo mejor que yo para que no fuera una muchacha más de las que ya hay frustrada.
¿Cómo desearía solo preocuparme de las cosas que se preocupan las chicas de mi edad?
Presidente Trump amenaza con deportar a millones de indocumentados.
Immigration and Custom Enforcement agents conducting raids on the Central Coast this week.
¿Ya venían para acá arriba?
Pues de que tocaron acá arriba. No sé cómo será mi futuro.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing all your work with us. I wanted to give you all an opportunity to kind of talk us through what you've shared and also kind of take us through a little bit, you know, how your Latinidad kind of shows up in your work as well. So yeah, I mean, do you want to start, Colette?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first off, thank you again for having us on this panel. It feels, every time that we get together with, as artists and as really hoping to be able to change perspectives and change policies here, it just gives me so much inspiration to be alongside you all, because it feels like with what's happening in the world, our work is needed now more than ever, and that and to be in the room with you all, people who care, who are filmmakers. I actually would love to know how many of you are filmmakers and are aspiring filmmakers. Amazing. Okay, so yeah, it's like a room of people who are ready to tell the stories and ready to be the truth tellers that we so desperately need, and that it's so revolutionary. So just thank you again for the opportunity. And in terms of my own work, my work is very much focused on this idea of home and really figuring out that disconnect to home. And for me, growing up in the suburbs of Chicago, actually my Latinidad was the disconnect to my Latinidad, and not feeling like I ever felt like I belonged in any place because of that, being a third culture kid. And so my work is very much focused on that idea of home, both culturally, but then also going deeper into our inner worlds of why we don't feel home within ourselves, and doing the trauma healing work that our community so desperately needs to feel home within ourselves. And so it's both the inner liberation, but then also the outer liberation work, being able to combine the two together. That's all. Thank you.
Going after that. But yeah, what a cool turnout. I mean, this is, as filmmakers and independents, it has its joy and it also has its tough moments. So it's just thank you for being here and recognizing the work. And thank you, Daniel and Diana, for inviting us and putting this amazing panel together. And so for me, my Latinidad, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and my parents are originally from Colombia. And I think, where I grew up, unfortunately, it was very politically right-wing. So any bit of difference, you felt it. And it was really, my parents had accents. And yeah, so, did I turn this off? Oh, you are, okay. So I think for me, there was a sense of struggle, but also joy, and yeah, but also this sense of, I'm neither here or there, because I'd go back to Colombia and I'd stay the summers, and my cousins were all like, whatever, gringa, and and then I was here and in Arizona, where it was immigrant family, middle class, you don't belong here. So I think that shaped me politically. And so I'd say with Fruits of Labor, I had since I was a young kid, my mom would take me to protests, with the farm worker movement. And in college, I was very active and started a club, and I'd worked in Watsonville. We had, this was the 90s, and there was a struggle, a big strike. And unfortunately, we didn't win everything we wanted for strawberry workers, but Swanberry Farms, if you're down in Davenport, Santa Cruz area, stop by. They were the only ones who put the UFW union stamp, and I always still go there and buy the best strawberry jam you'll ever eat. But yeah, so I've had a long history with that film in terms of the activist work. And then I lived in New York for a while. Anyway, I came back, and I was living in Santa Cruz, working at the university. My sister works in food security work, and that's how I came to know Ashley. And so I was teaching a course where we did collaborative filmmaking with my college students and children of farm workers. So I guess what my Latinidad and perspective, it's just being able to identify with difference and a certain struggle, a political struggle, and also the joy and beauty of those struggles. I grew up singing De Colores, like that was like the lullaby song. My mom at first didn't speak very much English, and that was like what was my lullaby song. She was like, "This is an American song," you know. So there was that, and then Orquídea has been. So that was the second. Was more of a work sample. So Fruits of Labor has been out in the world since 2021. And we have a screening next weekend in LA. So anyone if you have friends in LA, let them know. It's with the Micro Cinema, Movie Micro Cinema with Vidiots, which is a really cool organization. That film, Ashley, who's the protagonist of the film and co-writer with me of the film, we've traveled a lot with that film. It's been a really amazing run. And then Orquídea is a work in progress. I've been working on it for 3 years, have an amazing team, and it's just been a joy as an anthropologist. So I kind of went a circuitous route to get to film, and a barrette just came out. And so slowly my hairdo will undo. So I'd done work as an anthropologist. First, I'd gotten my doctorate in anthropology and had worked with landmine survivors in Colombia, and I did that work for like over a decade. And needed then a break. And crazily, that work, I'd worked with an organization, Colombian Campaign Against Landmines, and was a part of bringing awareness to the peace negotiations in Havana around landmine survivors. But it was a really tough project. And so I was happily working in the US, but then in 2016, there was a peace treaty, and there was a lot of optimism and hope, and there was like amazing laws. Colombia has amazing laws, even if they're not really followed through with, but that, granting rivers and forests in Colombia as legal persons. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to like get back and do so. I had this idea, like I want a non-human organism to be the main character of my next film in Colombia, and orchids are the country's national flower, the cattleya. And it's just took me on a very crazy adventure, and I don't want to talk too long because this I could go on and on. But I think in terms of my Latinidad, it's being that bicultural or multicultural, because then I have my dad's side of the family, they're like Syrian Jews who moved to Colombia. My dad was born and raised there. And anyway, we're talking about totally different regions and cultures, my parents, and I came out of that. It's become, as I've gotten older and I'm very close to my family, we have a huge family on my mom's side. And so, it's like such a gift to be able to go back and forth. And now as an adult, where it wasn't like I didn't have the teenage angst I had around difference, I'm just like love. It's all about love. And so that's how I would say I've grown through that identity.
Do you want me to go? No. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Maya. Thank you again, Daniel and Diana, for having us on this panel. I would say that my Latinidad kind of shows up in all of the work that I do in many different ways. I grew up here in Berkeley, also part of a Jewish Latino household, so I understand the multiculturalism in that way. My mom my parents are here, so I'm shouting them out. My mom actually made up coined a term for this. It's called Meshuganismo, which basically means like, Meshuga means crazy in Yiddish, and ismo is like an ism in Spanish, so that's kind of like how we can, make sense of this kind of mixture. I feel like my connection to Latinidad is really through my identity growing up in that way. So On the Divide, the film that you all saw, just the trailer, that was actually my first documentary. It took about 7 years to make. It started as a short documentary about a traveling abortion doctor which we did put out as like its own short called The Provider, and I ended up working on that with my best friend now, but we just met in college, Leah Gallant, and so we made that in school, and then once we were done with that, we ended up going back to the border in McAllen and seeing that there was only one abortion clinic in the entire region. That has since closed down, obviously because of Roe v. Wade being overturned, but at the time it was the only one, and so we really felt like this could be its own story. And so we just set out to do it as like 22-year-olds. I'm now 31, so it took like 7 or 8 years to make. But it was very much like a growing up experience with that documentary. And so from there, I ended up making some other short films that all kind of had to do with reproductive justice and immigration in some way. I made a short documentary about my father's immigration story from Peru to here called Only the Moon. It was like a short animated piece. And then I made a short film about an undocumented organizer fighting for reproductive justice, Alejandra Pablos, called Ale Libre. Oh, cool, you know her? Or know about her? Yeah, so everything has kind of, like the work that I do kind of stems from radio as well, because I got my start at youth radio when I was 16 in Oakland, California. And then from there, like knew I really wanted to be a filmmaker and be in like an intentional storyteller. And from there, I'm now working on my second feature documentary that you just saw the sample of. You're probably like some of the few people who've seen it. It's like still very new because we're in production right now. But that's actually looking at my grandfather, who's on my Jewish side, on my mom's side. But yeah, how he was the one of the doctors that helped in the Black Panther Party start their first free clinic, and the surveillance that he had to do with that. So yeah, it's been interesting to have like a personal story that I'm working on. To be somewhat in the film is also weird. I don't recommend it. It's weird to rewatch it. I know me and Colette can relate to that. But I sort of had to be to like tell the story and move the story forward. So yeah, that's the story.
Hey, I'm Luca. Thank you for being here and for this opportunity to talk about what I'm doing. I feel like I'm the last filmmaker arrived here. I came here 5 years ago, born and raised in Italy in this little village of 5,000 people, very conservative. I am an observational documentarian. So this time is gonna be, Like Heaven Without God is my first feature, and hopefully it's gonna come up soon. So this one will be the second feature-length documentary. Being in front of the camera, I'm still very skeptical. I'm in a very early stage. And so what you saw was just a little sample of what I'm planning to do, and just, I don't like my voice as well, so I don't know what I'm gonna do about it. So before this, I studied this. I got a master's degree in cinema, and I did the National School of Cinema in Italy. I live in Palermo before coming here. I followed the migration route in the European borders, so I went to the Balkans and in Libya on a boat a few times. So I mostly follow migration a lot in Europe. I did shorts there. And then, yeah, when I moved here, I used to be a social worker. I pay my university fees that are not crazy expensive as here as a caregiver. So I look after old guys, Alzheimer's specifically. I've been a nanny, I've been an au pair in England for 2 years. And so when I moved here, I wanted to be a documentarian, but I didn't know how to do it and how to break through. So I started doing what I knew best, so be a social worker. And I work with the homeless community in a parking lot. And I found this parking lot very interesting as a non-place, like a shooting. I thought, this is gonna be my first film. I'm gonna shoot a film in one parking lot only, and I'm just gonna talk about the people. So I bonded with the community. I was working there, and I was very curious to know where all the families were were at. Like, how did you end up here? And so many old people were living in the RVs, and I was like very surprised. And so, yeah, that's basically where I come from. And yeah, it was like kind of a serendipity when my dad, he was almost dying, and I and my brother decided to go to see where they met in the jungle of Ecuador, and he died like literally 6 hours after we arrived to the place, and we managed to send like a message, like a voice message, say, "Dad, finally we saw where you met Mom," and he died, and we had to come back. And so that's I'm a BAVAC fellow, so I'm very grateful for that, and it gives me like hope, because right now I'm also in a very awkward position with my documents and visa. So I can stay. I'm a very privileged migrant. I can stay. I cannot work, and we'll see how it's gonna be in the future.
Cool. Thank you all so much for sharing, and I think giving us all some like very intimate and like vulnerable insight into your projects and your processes. And I think one of the things that Luca said there that really stood out to me was, you know, wanting to make documentaries, wanting to make films, tell stories, but not knowing where to start necessarily. I think, you know, Colette asked the room how many filmmakers, aspiring filmmakers are in here. I think pretty much every hand went up. And so, yeah, I think kind of digging into that a little bit would be great, I think, to get an understanding of how you'll, you know, approached it, and also, you know, in the spirit of BAMMS, just kind of, and BAVAC, sharing those kind of like tools, advice around, you know, maybe specifically within the Bay Area, you know, in terms of finding support, collaborators, your journeys there, and, you know, to Luca's kind of final point, also recognizing that we are right now in a frankly like hostile environment when it comes to doing the work that we do, telling the stories that matter to us and that are important. So yeah, I don't know who wants to kind of like start sharing.
Sure. All right. So I moved here 2 years ago, actually. I'm from Chicago originally, and it's been absolutely amazing. I was not expecting the level of support. I just didn't realize everything is in the Bay. BAVAC, ITVS, SF Film, like literally all of these organizations, that there are so many resources for doc filmmakers specifically. And so when I moved here, I signed up for the SF Film residency. That was the first thing. And so that's how I was able to meet a lot of filmmakers. And I had been in BAVAC from 2020. So I had met people virtually, but not in person. Maya and I were in the same cohort too. And so getting to be here has been really such a tremendous opportunity for the film, especially as I came here specifically for post-production. My editor lives here, so I moved here for the edit of the film. And so getting to be part of SF Film, and like even I had my rough cut screenings here with SF Filmmakers Collaborative, like the amount of resources here is incredible. So you being in the space and being able to meet people is like the best thing that you could be doing to get your films off the ground. And I also want to speak about the importance of being able to like make the big jumps into your filmmaking journey. A lot of times, of course, we still have to have our backup plans of doing our freelance work and all of that kind of thing. But the only reason that I've been able to work on my film full time is because I was able to get enough grant money to be able to get it to be full time at this stage. And so trying to get to a point where you are able to get enough funding for you to be doing this full time, like a lot of times we think that it's just not possible. It is possible. You can make this your full-time job. It just takes the dedication, the networks, and like making sure that you have the mentorship and the support to get to that level. And then the last thing I would say about being in the Bay Area is oh, of course, this is like the most amazing place too, because how like activist it is, like how many people here are like super down with all the causes. And so literally all of the causes in a way that I have never seen anywhere in the US. And I'm like, wow, everyone's just a revolutionary. It's amazing. And so, like, being able to be your authentic self and showing up as your authentic self through your filmmaking, like, really embrace that, because that's not common in a lot of other places where you're going to be doing filmmaking work. And so it's a very, very special place. I really have fallen in love with, like, SF, Oakland, the Bay Area in general. Complete. Thank you.
Awesome. You're amazing. Like, I need to, like, wake up and have Colette on the phone is like my pump up. That was awesome.
You can do this, y'all.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. No, the Bay Area is incredible, and just really amazing community. And it's, you know, like a lot of people always say, oh, it's a small world. Actually, though, I'm like every day, or not every day, but often meeting people I've never met within our doc community. Like, it's like lively. It's alive. And so, yeah, in terms of getting my start, you know, it was a lot of fear to take the jump. So I had done in the 90s, in undergrad, I made a doc, and it was on public access. It was Santa Cruz Prepares for Y2K. And yeah, Santa Cruz happened to be the most prepared town, or one of the 3 most prepared towns in 1999 for the Y2K apocalypse. And that was my first doc class, and I did VHS, and I did the analog thing, and I had a great time. I was like editing, and at that time, you know, I took a 6-pack into the edit room. I don't do that anymore, but like I was like really young. And then I'm like, I love this. But I didn't know, I mean, just I hadn't grown up where there was this like independent film thing. I thought of like Steven Spielberg, like, and then that, you know. I didn't know you can make a living off of, or potentially, maybe we don't, I don't know if we make a living. But anyway, and so then I worked at the Santa Cruz AIDS Project, and then a Latino film, health community org in Arizona. I moved back home, saved money, and moved to New York, and I did my doctorate, and it had this program. The anthropology department had a program with the Tisch School, the film school. And then I'm like, oh, that's a way I can still keep trying to do this, and I'll just make weird ethnographic films. And like, okay, cool, and they get paid to go to school. And so I did that, and it was amazing. And then when I was there, I'm like, this is what I love doing. Like, I had a film professor who was like, you should keep doing this. You know, like he'd be like, who just did the camera work? And I'd be like, you know, and it was so exciting for me. And he just opened up so many resources. I'm going to treat you like a film student. I used to sleep in the edit room, and I just watched the film students, and they were really nice. They were graduate students, and I would watch, and that's how I learned how to edit. And then, like, Sam Pollard would come in the room because he was their professor, the guy who, like, edits Spike Lee. And I was like, damn. And so I just listen, and that's how I learned. And but again, like, I was trained as a scholar, and you weren't supposed to be open at that time. It was a very traditional program. You learned film to do critical studies and write about it, not to become a filmmaker. And so, and I needed the funding. Then I got a postdoc, kept doing the anthropology thing, but I made films while I was doing the anthropological work. So I'd always get, like, National Science Foundation to give me some money to, like, get a camera. That. But I was doing everything low budget. I did everything, every single role on the film. And so it was like guerrilla filmmaking. And actually I would get like asked to do master classes on like guerrilla filmmaking when I lived in New York. It was very cool because I was like, yeah, I'm doing this out of necessity. But like, you know, I learned all the roles, even though like now I'm like a director. But like I did learn so much from having to do that. I was a professor for a little while in the CUNY system. And then finally, I got married later in life. And it was my husband was like, you want to do film, just do it. Make the jump and we can do this. And so it's been that support and our teamwork and that I have been able to make the jump. And there's been moments where I was really scared and I went back to academia. Actually, I was at UCSC, but we make it work. I think it would be really hard, honestly, if I didn't have my husband's health insurance. So everybody, we need to keep fighting for national health care. It's freedom. And democracy, not everything else. But anyway, and then BAVAC was such a turning point for me. So I made this film, Bodies at War. It had shown in Bogota's International Film Festival. This is when I was a graduate student. I had no idea about commercial anything, so it would show a lot at universities, people who knew me in medical schools and stuff like that. But I didn't have distribution, it's I didn't know how to do that. So anyway, when I realized, okay, I want to go on more this industry side, BAVAC was the first yes that I had, the BAVAC National Media Filmmaker Fellowship, because there were so many no's. And I'm like, how do I get people to know me? And BAVAC opened the door. And then from there is where I got really great grant funding for that first film. It's been harder for the second film. But it's fine. I need to be who I am, and the film will just get weirder and weirder and weirder. And I love it. And I'm having a great time. And I realized I was just pitching in Colombia in South America, and I'm like, okay, these are my people. I have a mentor who's amazing. She's like, you're with your compatriots, go weird, be your full weirdo, and pitch, And all, for people do co-productions in Latin America with European countries. Mexico has amazing funding. And so I'm going sort of looking at that route, and people are really receiving this weirdo film, and we're gonna do this hybrid thing and build this labyrinth maze in the middle of the jungle, and it's gonna be amazing. And so, I don't know, I just, I do a lot of freelance work. I am doing a commissioned short about a philosopher in Santa Cruz, Donna Haraway, and I was cool, just someone from the Netherlands. They heard about me and called me, and I'll take this job. So I do a lot. I taught yesterday, did an 8-hour class here at BAVAC Media, and it was wonderful. It was awesome group of students. So yeah, I used to be a video journalist for The Intercept. That used to be my side gig. So I think it's juggling a lot of different side gigs, doing what I love, and having a teammate, which is my husband, to get through life and eat and pay mortgage.
Right. The order. What is the question? Just sorry. I was so entranced by Emily's answer.
So we were basically talking about just your experience, kind of specific to the Bay Area, and also. Hi. So yeah, thinking about sharing with the room as fellow filmmakers, kind of Luca's point around wanting to make documentaries, wanting to tell stories, make films, but kind of not knowing how to start, where to start, and thinking about, how you found collaborators, supporters, and also recognizing just the hostility and challenges that have come up, in the last few years that have kind of changed the landscape and the rules, so to speak.
Yeah, and the Bay Area connection. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I am from Berkeley. Grew up here or there. We're in the city now. So yeah, I feel like it be my connection to film was probably so Bay centric from the beginning. I'm not sure if this was from the Bay Area. I think it was a San Francisco thing, but my mom had a subscription to this thing called Ironweed, which was guerrilla filmmaking to its finest. It was very independent documentaries that we would get in the mail, DVDs. Yeah, and so when I was young, I was really obsessed with watching these in middle school. Yeah, so I feel from there was really where I was I want to make documentaries one day. I want to talk about voter disenfranchisement or all these different things that I was seeing in these documentaries. And then I think youth radio is now Wire Media. It's actually not even, it doesn't exist anymore, which is really sad. A lot of youth programs actually have now folded. I think BAVAC is has one of the few now, I think, in the city. I'm not sure, that has youth programs. But yeah, so that when I was younger, at like 16, I was learning, storytelling techniques just through radio, and was able to like be on NPR as like a 16-year-old and learn what it meant to be on like broadcasts and stuff. And that is really what like pushed me to then, when I was in college, to study documentary studies. But I feel like because I went to school in upstate New York in Ithaca, I then like created a community in New York. And then my film community, or like my connection to film, wasn't really here until I moved back right when the pandemic happened, actually. And that was when I got the BAVAC Media Maker Fellowship, which was like an incredible time to be able to move back and then get support from BAVAC, where you and Colette met. But it was so strange because everything shut down and then we were just online. So there was like, we couldn't see each other in person, only like maybe one time or something. But it was still so incredible to have this like cohort of filmmakers and have it be central to the Bay Area, and get support for like my first feature being, a filmmaker from Berkeley and from the Bay. And I think another connection to Bay Area in terms of like funding that I've gotten is through the Berkeley Film Foundation. So I really want to shout them out. So if you are an East Bay resident, yeah, they're great. You can apply for them, and they have narrative, like a narrative track, and then they also have a documentary feature track, and documentary shorts, I think, as well. And so they were able to support On the Divide. I don't know if I mentioned something else yet, so I'm not going to, but there's possibility of support for this other film that I'm working on. But yeah, I would say it's definitely a challenge. I think On the Divide, even before, all the defunding of the Corporation of Public Broadcasting and public media in general, like On the Divide took 7 years to make. We went through the first Trump presidency, and partly it took so long because it was hard for us to get funding. Me and Leah, as being like two female filmmakers at like our first feature, like people didn't trust us, people didn't want to hear about abortion. It was like people didn't want to hear about Latinx and Latinidad connection to abortion. It was like very messed up, and it took us a long time to finally be taken seriously. But through along the way, support like from BAVAC and Tribeca at the time was able to support us as well. Like those few yeses were like made it so that we were really able to make this film a reality. But I will say that, like, I know Colette talked about like maybe we could do like there's a possibility to do this full time. I think my experience was like a bit different, where I did feel like I had to do freelancing work. I had to like do things in order to make it happen. So I encourage you, like definitely.
I'm on year 8. So
Yeah. The whole time. Yes. So you understand. Yeah. So there's different ways to do it. I think my path was just like freelancing, and now I finally got a full-time job at KQED, which is like holding on to that. Thank you. But yeah, my path was really freelancing. So I encourage you, like if you have a skill where you're, if you're an editor or producer, even director, if you're like able to get directing work outside of your project, that like really hone in on that, because that can really help you survive while you're making your project.
So, because I'm coming from like Italy, so born and raised in Italy, moving here, I'm still following like the American dream somehow. So it's very different, the approach that we have for funding in Italy is very regional or European, or you need to apply for like state funds mostly. Here, I also been the first film, like Heaven, it was supported by Berkeley Film Foundation that I have to shout out. And they really believe in me, and I really appreciate that, and it gave me like some kind of hope. So it's been 2 years I'm a freelancer, and I do gigs as well. I work in a lesbian church in Berkeley, and I do the live streaming, so they support me. That's my little gig that pays my rent. mostly. And so so for sure you need passion to do what we do, I guess. You need to really love being among people, I guess, most of the time. You can do also like some very artsy docs alone in your room, but mostly you need to be out there and bond, I guess, with communities and people. And then it's very creative during the editing part. So everything in the pieces, they come all together, and it's very exciting. You know, that kind of excitement that anything else can give it to you, maybe some orgasm or something. It's like, wow, yes, it made sense. It was in my head, and now it's here. So it is very fulfilling, that kind of experience, and that's probably we are kind of, I guess, we are addict of that. We keep pursuing that fulfillment of seeing pieces all together, sound and visual all together, and they come together and they work, and it's just magical. So yeah, I would say, you know, there's another. You need to be creative if you're looking for funds. That's my European perspective. You need to be creative on finding money, because here there is like the land of opportunities for me. Like there are different ways to get funded, and if you meet the right people at the right time, and you're gonna get connection in a cocktail party or something, like in a very random place. Oh, here you are. Or you're in a house and you meet someone. Oh, here you are. That's what you do. Oh, okay, let's talk. Let's meet tomorrow. And so, yeah, just be a little bit creative. For my previous film, I found some funding in the affordable housing. So that's where we went to just try it. You know, we were very desperate to say we need some money to make this film happen, and we need to. So let's go to see who are helping the homeless community. Let's go there. Let's meet people and say, hey, we're making a film. Why don't we collaborate? If we give you some clips, maybe we can help each other. And it worked. It worked out. And yeah, so just be creative. Right now, we need to be creative also, because we cannot rely on festivals 100%. Even distribution, as you probably know, now everything is changing. We need to rely on crowdsourcing, so on community of Latinx, for example, or other kind of communities. We need just to support each other and just be out there and share our work.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. We, yeah, I think, you know, one of the things that, you know, through CiNEOLA that we're really trying to do is, you know, creating this platform, this space where, like today, we're really just kind of like celebrating each other. We're kind of really sharing what it means to be Latinx, Latino, Latina, Latin Americano, like however you want to, whatever label you want to put on it. I think that, you know, that intersectionality and like the nuances of our like beautiful diaspora, the stories from the region as well. And so, yeah, I hope that this has kind of given you plenty to kind of take away. We are kind of short on time, but I did want to give an opportunity for at least like one or two like audience questions. If anyone wants to ask. You're very quick with your hand up there, so I've got to give it to you.
You guys touched upon it a little bit with funding-wise, but I just wanted to hear you guys' like input or stories or anecdotes of like how you guys balance budgets, or how you guys even kind of ask for those grants, or how that application process was, whether it be with pre-production, production, editing, whether you have to pay crew, or even like travel expenses and whatnot. How did you guys handle that? I know that was a pretty loaded question, but feel free to tackle it however you may be.
I'm just going to repeat that into the, repeat the question for anyone that couldn't hear it. So the question was around funding, finding grants, balancing budgets, yeah, all that fun stuff.
Do you want to say something? Okay, yeah. Yeah, each film I think is its own beast. So it's really just gone differently for each one. With Fruits of Labor, my first funding was crowdsourcing, and then I did a campaign with taquerias. So a lot of people don't realize, like, taquerias actually make a lot of money. And my brother-in-law had done like construction work and he was like, I'm like, that's the place. And so I did a crowdfunding campaign, and our line was decolonizing docks one taco at a time. And people were all going and having tacos, and we got 20% for that week of the proceeds. And I mean, I was literally printing out flyers and just on the street going out. And then I had an internship program. And so once I knew the money would come in, they would get a portion of that. And so it was college students who are all first-gen college students at UCSC who were really connected to the story. And it was awesome. So like then from there, I was able to pay my crew, or a small crew. I was directing, and I'd been shooting as well because I was teaching with Latino Film Institute and got a camera. That's how I started it. Just borrowing someone's this organization's camera. And then with the crowdfunding, I was able to, it was sort of deferred payment when we shot this one summer, and I was able to pay my my cinematographer and then my editor, and we did a short, and The Guardian just picked it up. Like literally, I didn't know anyone, and I looked on LinkedIn, who's the video editor? And I just sent the link, and he's like, I like it. And that really helped open doors, and then like Bayback, you know what I mean? So that was that one. I don't love crowdfunding at all. It was like insane. And I was like going through so much family stuff at the same time. Like there were so many stories, but like with Orquídea, in some ways that first film can become a calling card. And so it started with investors. So we actually had really good seed money. Since then, it's been really tough because the market changed, because many things, But I've always gotten something. So I have gotten grants. I've gotten other investors. And now I'm looking into co-production with other countries. So there's just many ways to finance. And it's really looking at different films and how they did it. But for your first one, crowdfunding, in a way, it's like you get a fan base. It's hard. It's really hard. It's like a full-time job for a month. But, college students were, relying on friends. If you have friends that are also makers and you guys want to get together, there's so many stories. I mean, I'm sure people have their other stories of how they lifted a project off the ground. And then there's stuff like that's commissioned work. And I really love commissioned work because it's just like, this is the money you have, you create the budget off of that, and this is what I can do for that budget. End of story. But like with docs, especially American doc makers, it's totally nuts. Like we're like, okay, I have this huge budget. Now here we have some seed funding. Let's do this. And like now we're out of money, and that's like pretty insane. And then you're changing your budget. But that time, I have to say, like with Orquídea, I've been talking to my team, and I'm like, we've had so many crazy ups and downs, but that time has allowed it to breathe where it needed to breathe, and it's going to be, we believe, like a killer film. Like we're all like, this is going to be amazing. And so having those starts and stops and going through that as a team that builds bonds you. We've been through so much together, and we're in such remote places in Colombia, like just help, like having to take care of each other in a certain way. And so right now it's like we're all just working on it because we love it, and like we're not necessarily getting paid, but like we're also handling other jobs, doing other jobs, and then hoping that money comes in, and we have a goal since it is hybrid, and we've been able to contain this last big shoot we're gonna do. It's like we know this is what we need, and in the meantime I'm like writing and scripting and doing I've been editing because I don't have the money to pay an editor, so I'm editing. So that's the other thing about like just doing that guerrilla style film, learning every aspect of the craft. It's been invaluable, and I've been able to contribute to many different projects. Writing, I write grants for people. It's like another side gig. I've written for scripts, helping people with their fiction scripts for like TV. So yeah, just anything that you can do and bring your talents to and collaborate with people and building that network.
Budgets that are helpful, or at least were helpful for me when I was making my first feature. So for around budgeting, I think it's really important when you're making your budget to like really look to like other filmmakers, like Emily was saying, about like what their budget range ended up being, because when you're applying to grants, a lot of grants might flag like if your budget is too low or if it's too high, like then it's just not feasible. So it's really important to like hit that kind of middle target, whatever that means for your film. And I would say like definitely include a line item for yourself as a director, for everyone in your crew. Like all of those things are really important, and a lot of grants and funders are going to look to that and see like, okay, do you really know what you're doing, basically? And we had to learn that the hard way at times, where we were like, we don't pay ourselves. Like, what? We don't, like, this is an independent documentary. We don't have any money. Like, how are we going to pay ourselves? But we really learned through like applying to places, the rejections, the feedback was like, no, pay yourself. This is your project. This is your work. Make sure that you're like accounted for. So I would just say that as advice, like definitely put that into your budget.
It's super important, yes, and that there's like a lot of resources online for like being able to learn about different budgets and things too. ITVS, there's IDA. I think IDA has a lot of like doc resources, so you can look at sample budgets too. I'd like to take a step back, because I think another very important thing in the decolonization process is us thinking that we have to be starving artists and no longer accepting that mindset anymore. That there is an abundance of money out there. Really, there is so much money out there that is just waiting for us. And especially now that everyone is wanting to hear these kinds of stories, that is like desperately needing these stories, that there is money out there. So also in the decolonization process, I want to be transparent about my own budget, and maybe that this can inform what kind of fundraising process that you can go through. So our entire budget was $650, and so far we've raised $450 of that budget. And so to be able to do that, at every stage, we had different strategies of how to get that money in. So in the beginning, in Chicago, there was like a Chicago Arts Council. That was the money, that was like a seed money of like maybe $5,000. That allowed us to create the sample to get the money for the bigger grants. So looking at like the local, I don't know about the government now, gosh, but like the local like state arts agencies in California, California Humanities maybe, I don't know if that exists anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore.
It's not doing so well. Okay, other strategies. Other strategies too is being able to focus on the individual donors, like the crowdsourcing piece. And so what we did for the fundraising to get to Palestine is that we actually hosted a private dinner fundraiser with a lot of like lawyers, doctors, Palestinian community in Chicago, and that's how we raised the $10,000 to go to Palestine and to hire the crew there. From there, we made a new demo. I edited for a new demo, and then used that demo to get the major grants that were more of like the $50,000, the $75,000. That allowed me to actually go into hiring an editor to start making the film. And then we did a Kickstarter campaign to go to Mexico in 2020, and then after that, added the Mexico footage to get to the next round of grants. And then the last thing that we've done as we're working on the impact campaign now is now starting to get executive producers on board. So like high net worth individuals that can come into the project now that you've had that credibility over the years and the grants and the fellowships, that they're like, okay, this project is like ready to go to the world, and that they're like the final in. So we've been starting to bring in some EPs as well in that way. So at each stage, there's like different pieces that you can start to bring in that money. But the most important thing is the money mindset piece, that your project is worthy of money, it is worthy of being funded, and having the value of what you're creating as like key, essential piece to be able to even get the money in the first place. And so, yeah, there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done while you're also doing the grant fundraising as well. Thank you.
I don't have anything else to add because everything has been said. Maybe just going to pitching session at festivals, or that's very important. That's really the game changing for us. Like, I don't know, this year I was in Trieste, which is in Italy, and I had the opportunity, among other 6, to show like 10-minute sample in front of like festival selectors, and you know this, and then the one-to-one, they come to your desk and they talk to you, and you meet them in person, they give you their card, and that's another opportunity to just meet people in person and be known that you're around. And on the radar. Yeah, and on the radar. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. I think also just to kind of add on to that, and also to add on to the chorus of love for Berkeley Film Foundation that we got earlier. So BAVAC, we have a series of workshops which you're maybe familiar with called Burst. And we have a specific kind of summer series right now in collaboration with the Berkeley Film Foundation, which is all around getting you ready for grant funding fellowship applications. So we have one coming up on August 26th. They're all going to be virtual, I believe. And this one is specifically around the core application, so the non-fiction core application, which is kind of like the standardized universal grant application form, which was developed by the International Documentary Association and Sundance. And that's what we use for the Media Maker Fellowship, which is currently open for applications now and into late September as well. So I definitely recommend that you check that out. We have some sessions for Verse specifically around budgeting as well. And yeah, if you follow us on social media at the ABC Media, go on our website, which is babc.org, sign up for our newsletter. Yeah, me and my team will definitely be getting you all the links and all the information that you need for that. And yeah, I think we're out of time. We're over time. But thank you all so much. That was so incredibly valuable. I did want to, just kind of elaborate a bit on what we're up to with CiNEOLA for the rest of the year. As I mentioned, we're a platform for Latin American and Latinx stories. That's really what we're about. We have our website, CiNEO.la, where you can watch short documentary films from emerging Latin American and Latinx filmmakers. We'll be announcing our next release in the coming weeks, so look out for that. We also produce original content, podcasts, collaborate with artists. We do screenings very regularly at the Roxy too, and we are making an exclusive announcement today, which we'll share publicly soon, which is we have our annual Colombia on Film documentary series. So November 15th and 16th at the Roxy. So that will save the date for you all. We'll be announcing that publicly again in the coming weeks with artwork, and then the program, which is locked, will probably follow early October times. And yeah, just really, really happy to be here, to be kind of sharing the space with you all. I also want to give a shout out to San Francisco Latino Film Festival, who are in the house as well. Another space for us to share our stories. I believe submissions are open for the festival.
Yeah, currently open through next Friday, and our dates are for the latter part of October, and still working on spaces, so we're on once again. So
Cool.
Thanks for the shout out.
Of course, I'll repeat that for the microphone so everyone on YouTube and on the podcast gets it. So yeah, SF Latino Film Festival, currently open for submissions through to next Friday, and the dates for that September. October 20th onwards, venues to be determined.
Roxy, Yerba Buena Center,
Okay.
and cultural centers that are still TBD.
Okay, the Roxy, Yerba Buena Cultural Center, and yeah, follow them on social media. And yeah, I mean, BAMMS is still going on. There's still time to get over to the Lamb and Rum Fest. I know the official times on that is like 1 to 4 p.m. I'm sure it might go on a little bit longer. I don't know how you all got here, but I know you can all get either from like Van Ness or from Civic Center, which are a couple minutes away. You can get on the N on Muni over to the park and into Peacock Meadow, which is a specific park where, yeah, there'll be people having a drink, having some food. And yeah, hopefully you can continue conversations and connecting with yourselves and then others that will be there too. So yeah, thank you very much.